Hello, everyone. It's been, I know, a couple of weeks since I've come to you either live or in recording. I have been having the most difficult time trying to get my technology together. I am recording this third time's a charm because the first time I recorded it, I think I had music playing in the background and it did not pick up very well with the microphones. I scratched that one and I did that one on Saturday live from my personal Facebook page. So I am going to make another attempt at reviewing step 6, schedule your future self. We're really towards the end of Dr. Hardy's book, um, Be Your Future Self Now. Also be your best self. Be your future self now. And so I'm recording it and then I'm going to upload it later today. I have had a week and a day and a sick fur baby. And so I won't go into it now because it'll make me cry. But I wanted to make sure that we continue and I finish out this book. If you're new to my group, this is the book that I've been coming from for several weeks. And I will go ahead and do a share of my screen because I think that was the other thing that I did not do the last time. Sometimes I forget to share my screen. I know sometimes when people are doing these kinds of sessions, they just really want you to go ahead and take notes. But I also realize that people are sometimes visual and it helps to be able to see the materials. So let me do that. So I think I am sharing and we are also recording. So I wanted to chat from a very high level for those folks who are brand new. We've gone through 7 threats and I am not going to go into any great detail on those threats, but threat number 1 was about hope in your future. Your present loses meaning. We talked about writing out our vision. Threat number 2 was having a reactive narrative about your past can limit your future. Threat number 3 is about being unaware of your surroundings, which can impact your thinking, your actions, and how you show up in the world. And the Bible also has something to say about being around wise people versus being around people who are not wise. And so, so you want to be aware of your surroundings and the people that you spend a lot of your time with, because believe it or not, we are influenced by our environment. Threat number 4 was you cannot create the life you want if you're not connected to the future you envision. And so really it is about just having in your mind's eye who you want to become, what it is you want to do, and the things that you want to have in this lifetime. Life is not forever. And I don't think that we give that a lot of thought. So if there's something that it is that you have on your heart, you should not stall. I'm really big on not living life with regrets. And I've talked ad nauseum probably about that, and I won't go into it now, but we must become committed to whatever it is you invest yourself in. And Dr. Sullivan says the only way to make your present better is by making your future bigger. Threat number 5 was about focusing on the small versus the urgent goals, living our day-to-day life, and not really being on that hamster wheel and trying to manage time. And I've talked a lot about time cannot be managed. You can only manage the activities and the events in your life. We all get 24 hours in the day. I shared that Dr. Stephen Covey talks about using the rocks and pebbles and a bucket to teach us that. So if you're putting all of the small pebbles in, which are considered urgent things like text messagings and emails and all the things that distract you, and then when you try to put the larger rocks in the bucket, the major important things in your life, it all doesn't fit. But if you put the most important things in first, like your family, like your health, and then all the other things, the smaller things, and everything fits into the same time space. We talked about threat number 6, getting out into the field of life. If you're not putting yourself out there, taking risk, being courageous, and doing the things that you want to do, writing the book, taking the class, going for the job, stepping out on faith, then you are really missing out on living your very best life. And many times we don't do this because we have fear. And fear is really false evidence, false events appearing real. And being courageous doesn't mean that you don't have fear. It just means that you are feeling the fear, which is just this vibration in our body, and you're taking action anyway. Step number 7, or threat number 7, is success brings opportunity, and it also brings disruption, and it can bring distractions. And so we can really be good at doing the things, and maybe we've reached a goal of losing the weight. We stopped doing all the things, eating right, that helped us to reach that goal. And then we fall back into self-sabotage and into our baseline of comfortability. So those were the 7 threats. And then the truth that he talked about was our future drives our present. He also has another book called 10X is Easier Than 2X, but basically what it is, our behavior right now determines our future. And so your future will also drive your present. So whatever it is you envision yourself doing in the future, say 6 or 7 months from now, then you're going to have to take the steps to make sure that you're able to realize that future that you envision for yourself now. So if you're focused and you're determined and you plan it out, then you're going to get the best, or you're going to take the best course of action. And I incorporate scripture in here because that's the foundation for me, but the Bible is very clear, and that we should write the vision and make it plain. And if you don't have a definite plan of action for your life, you're going to continue doing the same thing over and over again. And we know what Einstein called that. He called that insanity. So goals help create the path to and a guide for where you want to be and where you want to go. And so truth number 1 is that your future drives your present, what you do right now in order to be where you want to be in the future. We learned truth number 2 is your future self is different than you think. Think of 5 years ago. I can think of 10 years ago where I was in 2014, May 2014 to be exact. I was in a different job. I was in a different city. I was in a different home. I was married to someone different 10 years ago. So realize that your future self is different than you think. Truth number 3 is becoming our future self. We will pay the piper, which is in effect your future consequences for our current decisions. So current decisions that we make right now will have an impact again on our future. Truth number 4 is the more vivid and detailed you can envision your future self, the faster your progress will be. And the point is that your vision, the vision that you have for your life will drive your effort so that you realize the transformation that you want to accomplish. Truth number 5 is failing as your future self, doing the things right now, taking the risk right now, being courageous and feeling the fear right now will be better than trying to succeed doing none of those things, trying to succeed at being your current self. So you have to step out your comfort zone and play at the level now, right now, so that you can be where you want to be in the future. Truth number 6 is, according to Dr. Hardy, is that success can only be accomplished by being true to your desired future self, who you want to become. And as you learn, grow, and evolve, your view of who you will become will evolve and change as well. And then we talked about deliberate practice and habits and automaticity. Being more deliberate versus habits will take conscious effort, and it will take attention, and it will help us to focus on the future. My word for this year is intentional. So being intentional. Truth number 6 is above all, success is achieved by being true to yourself. The quote by Shakespeare says it all, to thy own self be true. Step number 1 is the action now that we're going to take to be our future self, and that's to identify where you are, clarify your priorities and your purpose, and then connect to who you're trying to become. Step number 2, becoming the best version of your future self, is focusing on what is it that you truly want. What do you want? And focusing on your purpose, and then getting rid of those distractions. And we talked about the shiny object syndrome, which I am always prone to. It's like squirrel, and then getting distracted. Bishop Brunner says, distractions is the enemy. Distraction is the enemy. Distraction is the enemy of direction. Distraction is the destruction of direction. And so you have to ask yourself, what direction do you want to be going in? Step number 3 was needing, wanting, and knowing, and we can go from being to doing to having. And when we need and when we want, it kind of signals in our brain that we're lacking and that we don't have what we want, and so it becomes a scarcity mindset. But knowing is having the faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, and that's in Hebrews 11:1. So how do we get faith, you might ask? Well, the Bible says that then faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. Step 4, this is really big because I think many times I was really guilty of this, of not even asking, wanting, but not really asking. And so ask for what you want is step 4. The key is to be clear, to be direct, and then you ask. And then I shared several scriptures to meditate on. Matthew 7:7 was one, asking it will be given to you. Matthew 21:22, and whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive. I gave John 14:13, and then First John 5:14, and this is the confidence that we have towards him, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And then John 15:7, which is one of my favorites. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. And then another favorite is Mark 11:24. Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. And step number 5, we get to having a daily routine for our lives, starting small. We talked about inevitability thinking, having the confidence to know that what you're trying to achieve and that it will happen if you do certain things, and you have to take action and put that into work. And so today, right now, I'm going to cover real briefly step number 6 because it was a really short chapter. But being intentional, that is my word again for today. Being intentional about becoming your best future self. Your identity drives your action, and who you believe you are informs the actions and what you do today. I'm really passionate about this because I see so many of us not living the lives that we want, and we focus on our fear. We focus on, I want to do these things, but either I don't know the steps to take, I don't know where to start, or I'm just fearful of doing it. So I want to encourage you to do at least one thing that will move you closer to your goal. So I want to cover, this is what we're going to dive into. So who I am, what priorities are on your calendar, who controls your time, a psychological detachment from work, are you willing and committed? And then I'll give you my special offer, which, I've shared it before, and then a summary. And, I always like to end with prayer and gratitude. And so many of you know who I am. I'm Sandra Lee. I'm a spiritual life coach. I help mostly women who are feeling unfulfilled. You feel like you're lacking purpose and direction. Maybe you're an empty nester, you're over 50, like I was, frustrated with where you are in life, working, but still not feeling fulfilled in that role or in that job, or just feeling like you've got workplace trauma even. I've been there. And then you're just stuck with trying to identify your purpose. And this is important to me because at one point, like I said, I was there. I know what it feels like to kind of be this wandering generality. That's what Zig Ziglar, who used to be, he still is one of my favorite thought leaders. Wandering generality, not really having a defined goal or path for my life. And so I want to help you to create a life map so that you too can get to your dream destination, whatever that is. And I want to help you tap into your God-given potential and leverage your faith-based principles to overcome any life challenges that you might have. We all have challenges. And to find that peace and live a life that's purposeful and meaningful to you, that aligns with your core beliefs and your values. My belief and my philosophy is that we rise when we lift others up, and so that's really my whole purpose. And I'm really fortunate, and I'm blessed to be able to even share this information with you. So let's dive right into priorities. What's on your calendar? And we tend to schedule what's important to us and what we consider a priority. When people say, I don't have time, we all get the same amount every single day. It's like God is our father, he's our daddy, he gives all his kids $24. And how you decide to spend those $24 or hours is really based on what your priorities are, what priorities are driving your day, and thus what's driving your time. And I'll be honest, I've been putting all my appointments mostly on my meetings on my calendar. I use my phone religiously, but I haven't really put my personal goals on my calendar, but I do have them on my whiteboard. So one of the things for me that I want to do is to start putting those on my calendar so that I see them regularly, because I have my phone with me at all times. So the good use of time makes time even more precious. And again, where we spend our time is a clear evidence of where our focus is and our commitments and what's really important to us. And it's a concrete measurement of how you spend your day. You ever look up and you go, where did the day go? Well, if you didn't have your ritual or your goals or the things that you wanted to accomplish on your calendar, then it was probably hijacked by some impromptu meetings or some fire that broke out that you just had to then drop what you were doing and pay attention to. So one of the reasons many people go into being an entrepreneur or solopreneur is that they want time freedom, financial freedom, and to have a meaningful and purposeful life, and to be free to do what their soul has called them to do. And sometimes you could absolutely do that as what I call an intrapreneur. An intrapreneur is somebody who works for an organization, but you feel like you've taken ownership, right? Because you have the latitude to be able to do the things that you want to do as an entrepreneur. But to manage and take accountability, you have to make sure that you are managing your calendar so that you have the power to prioritize what matters most to you. And we talked about the urgent versus the important. So the important priorities we place in the jar are the medium to big rocks. Remember, we talked about that. And then all of the other smaller non-important items, which are urgent, go in last. And so I've talked about the shiny object. Again, it's making sure that you schedule your day, you plan for your day. Jim Rohn would say, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you will fall into someone else's plan, and guess what they have planned for you? Not much. So you want to make sure that you're protecting your time. Let's talk about the shutdown ritual. So if you do, I think that's people cutting grass behind me. At the end of the day, when you are at work or even at your home office, a shutdown ritual can kind of help you kind of unwind for the day. So you're getting rid of work-related thoughts by writing down what you didn't get accomplished and what you want to work on tomorrow, setting expectations for work-life boundary, resetting your mind so that you're steering your attention to the here and now, and mentally cross the work-life boundary by starting to think about the evening and for tomorrow. And so generally what I do is I finish my last email, I do check my calendar for the next day, and the things that I want to get done for the next day. I do a gratitude at the end of the day. And then when I leave my home office, I get up and then I slide my door closed. So that signals to my brain that I am done for the day. Of course, when I leave my office at work, the mere fact that I'm leaving means that I've ended my day. So these are just some things that you can kind of like jot down and consider as you try to manage your time and manage your day. So, are you willing and committed? Commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. To take control of your life, your time, it takes really, again, being intentional. And being busy can be a comfort zone because it keeps us occupied. It makes us feel like we're accomplishing something. But being on that hamster wheel that we've talked about, busy, 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 can be like this comfortability feeling. And it's what we've become used to. And, it also does not allow you to move your life forward. But once you commit, you're going to be required to step outside that comfort zone, and it's going to require you to feel the fear and do it anyway. So decide, commit, and succeed. And once you commit, you're going to be required to step outside that comfort zone again. It's going to require you to feel that fear. It's going to require you to be courageous. It's going to require you to live intentionally. And I've shared what I shared in truth number 3, that when you take an interest and invest in you, your commitment to yourself gets larger. And this will change how you see yourself. Uh-oh, what did I do? I think I scooted too fast to the last one. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so my special offer today is for 1 hour clarity call. If you're not really sure what you want to do, and I have this Speedy Priority Finder handout that I'd love to get into your hands. If you want it, you can send me an email to pathfinder@outlook.com. But this is a handout where you can actually learn a little bit more about yourself. Where do you spend your time? What is most important to you right now? If there was anything that you could do with no limits, what would that be? It really gets you to thinking, and then to really identify those priorities that are important to you, and then putting the most important things first, and then the next, and then the third, in that order. So that's free for you to have. If you'd like to have it, I'd love to give it to you. And then lastly, in summary, again, let's talk about what's on your calendar, what priorities are driving your day and using your time. Own your freedom, own your time by managing and taking ownership of what's placed on your calendar, because you absolutely do have the power and authority to manage and prioritize what's most important to you. And then being willing and committed to taking control of your life and your time, being intentional, and it really does take commitment and discipline. And I love this quote by Dr. Benjamin Hardy: if you're always working or always available and never fully recovering, then flow, creativity, and high performance are practically impossible. And then lastly, this really is the last thing, because I think this is important. There's always something for us to be thankful for. I know I talk a lot about psychology and what the research says, but expressing gratitude, you can experience more positive emotions. Savor the good moments in life, right? Because there are good moments, and it helps to improve our well-being. It helps us to cope with life challenges, and it really does help to build and cultivate more meaningful relationships. It really is an act of appreciating what we already have before we go to God and ask Him for more. So practice gratitude and being thankful every day. And that will allow you to just shift your perspective. And when you start putting that into your life every day, you will start to feel different. and your life will absolutely shift. All right, so next step, Saturday. So Rob and I are traveling. So Saturday, I will probably come to you live from my favorite place. But step 7 is our last chapter in this book. And we've been reviewing each threat and truth and the steps to becoming the best version of our future self. And so 7 will talk about aggressively completing and perfect work, because many of us, I think, are perfectionists, and so we work on a project, or we work on a thing, and we work on it and work on it, and we never execute or implement. And what I've learned is done is better than perfect. So we'll talk about that this weekend. Um, if you have not purchased this book yet, I want to encourage you, put it in your library. And so your future self is a choice. And think about what the highest vision is that you could possibly imagine for yourself. And Dr. Hardy says, and what if you choose that? What if you make that decision without apology? And so for what I want to ask you to do, if you haven't added it to your library, do that. And then if you want to get on his mailing list, he does not spam you, but you will get at least an email once a week, futureself.com. You can send him your email address, and then what you'll do, or what you'll get, is an example of his goals, or his actual goals, actually, because he's very transparent. And then you'll get questions that he asked. So like last week or a couple of weeks ago, he had asked, what progress are you making that is absolutely most important? And again, envisioning your what's impossible for you. Like, think, what is it that you could ask for without apology that you want to have happen in your life? So there you have it. After this book, we are going to be sharing principles from my coach, Dr. Eric Thomas, UOU. And that book will probably take us into the fall, but it is so good. And if you haven't gotten it, you can get it on Audible, or you can actually order it from Amazon. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I want to make myself available to you. As always, the offer stands. You can email me at pathfinderbySlee@outlook.com, or you can just DM me. All right, everybody. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on Saturday. Take care.